Imagine waking up to a world that's as clear as your dreams. With Zeiss Smile technology, this is your reality. At Fichte, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care, our mission is your vision. Conducted by a team of expert surgeons leveraging leading-edge technology, our procedure is safeguarded, swift, and tailored to your eye care needs. Say goodbye to the limits of glasses or contacts. Embrace a world where your vision keeps pace with your life's aspirations. Contact us today at 800-309-2020 or visit us online at fichte.com. At Fichte, Endel, and Elmer Eye Care, we are focused on you.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Jay Spence the King. This is Buffalo Rumblings breaking news. And we bring it to you every time something major happens. And today, Tuesday, November 14th, after the Bills' embarrassing loss after the Bills' embarrassing loss to the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills have relieved offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey of his duties. Quarterbacks coach Joe Brady will serve as the interim offensive coordinator. I have Sarah Larson. I have Jonathan and the big homie Brando. I got the all-star squad of Buffalo Rumblings joining me to talk about this breaking news. I need reactions. Sarah, ladies first. Let's start with you.
It was actually kind of funny because I just landed coming in from last night, and the first thing I wanted to tweet about was like, okay, it's after 11 o'clock and we haven't done anything yet. What's going on? And legitimately, as no lie, as I was writing the tweet, they sent out the notification, and I got the notification that we had relieved him. So, I kind of put out there, I'm not sure Joe Brady's the answer either, but I like the fact that we're giving him, 7 games to figure it out. And, it can't get any worse from here. So, and if it does, then at least we know we really need to wipe this slate clean and start fresh.
Yeah. Jonathan, where you at with it, man?
I don't know. I like that they made a move because obviously you need something drastic to turn the season around, like when everything's going wrong. Obviously, it's not a one-size-fits-all fix. It's a single solution to a very multifaceted problem that I think has been going on with this team this year. But I mean, hey, it's either going to make the season worse because Joe Brady is just going to bow to whatever McDermott wants, or it's going to light a fire underneath everybody's butts. So either way, you either make the playoffs and you're good. You're going for Super Bowl or bust. I mean, that's what the whole season is anyway. So I'm fine with it because they need to do something. They weren't going to. They weren't going to make a deep run in the playoffs as it was, it felt like. So I'm good with it. But, yeah, doesn't fix everything.
It doesn't fix everything. My man Jason Aponte, shout out to my guy. He represents the 49ers, and he does great content. If you guys are looking for 49ers content, go and follow him. But he has a question, and this is the one I'm going to ask Brando. What is going on? Like obviously waking up to this news is kind of like, well, something had to happen. But Brando, what the heck is why are we even here, man?
That's the $1 million question, right? Or maybe it's a $242 million question, or maybe it's Sean McDermott's $8 million per year question. I don't know. I don't know, man. We were just talking. We're like looking at the organizational chart for the Bills, and we're like, okay, do we start here? Or do we start here? And for this past game, we started with the players on the ground, boots on the ground, and you see the talent's not playing up to their level that they have performed in the past. Gabe Davis has shown us that he does drop the ball sometimes, and we have seen Steph Diggs be elite of elite of elite, and Josh Allen be elite of elite. We're not doing that, but they're not being put into the places that they need to succeed, right? They're making it harder on themselves to be great. And when you have, the easy button offense that we used to have, where you throw it to Diggs, or you throw it to Cole Beasley, you throw it to John Brown, and Josh runs for the first down, and we go from that to this, it's a huge fall from grace. So I think finding the ways to find the counterpunch, right? We've seen this whole scheme in the NFL change. I wanted to say maybe it's different now, but there was like 100 less touchdowns scored in the NFL this year through this point of the season than it was in the past season last year. And the Bills are right in the middle of it. And it's funny because now you see these other teams, Colts score 30 points with Gardner Minshew, and the Lions scored 42. The Chargers, they had a big time game, and the Broncos they scored on us and they stopped us. And I don't know, we're gonna have to face the day of reckoning here. And Sean McDermott's one more scapegoat away from being himself now. He has nobody else to blame. It's nobody else. Now, everybody's gone that we started with. The original crew is no longer with us. So he's going to have to figure it out one way.
Dable's gone, Frazier's gone, and now Dorsey's gone. So.
What, Crossan was the special teams guy let go, right?
Oh, yeah. And that was after, the 2020.
Seconds.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I was going to bring that up because honest to God, I feel like, so first, Joe asked a great question last night or this morning about last night. He said the question, Joe Miller, so everybody listening by pod, he says, if Smiley's special team unit doesn't have 12 men on the field last night, does Dorsey still have a job today? And when you answer that question, and we'll go around real quick and answer a question, we'll go reverse. So we'll go Brando, Jonathan, then Sarah. But if you answer that question the way I answered it, then it lets me know 100% that Ken Dorsey was a scapegoat. Brandon, how do you feel about it?
That's a good point, because you could sit here and say that we are also maybe a couple weeks overdue because maybe Taron Johnson gets a defensive pass interference penalty against the Giants game and Chris Godwin turns and catches the ball, and now we're sitting at 2-7. Maybe this move should have been done earlier, but it's not ideal. I think when you're sitting there, I don't know, man. It's sad day for Bills fans, and it's something that they've never had to face before. So I think.
Oh, we faced it.
It's been a while. It's been a while. Right?
It's been like 6-7 years. So
it looks a little different, but
yeah.
Well, last week, and before I swing that question to you, I want to play a clip. So last week I did code of conduct, and the premise for the show, or everything that I talked about, was talking about, I know this show is about Ken Dorsey being fired, and we're going to get right back to that, but I think we're missing something if we don't talk about Sean McDermott. And one of the things that I asked was, is Sean McDermott our version of Mark Jackson in the NBA? So I'll play this clip really quickly, and then Jonathan, I'll get your thoughts on it, and then we'll answer Joe's question as well. The whole reason that Ken Dorsey was hired is because they wanted somebody who Josh has already had a relationship with and somebody that he could be comfortable with. And I think that's okay. That's fair, right? But the reason why I told you a couple minutes ago, I wasn't a fan of it. The reason being is because I don't think you use a rookie play caller at this point of Josh's. Like, Josh was doing so well. Josh was doing so well under Brian Daboll. And now it looks like he's regressed. He's not reading plays the same way. He's not reading defenses the same way. And to me, that's an issue for the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Whichever of the two you want to put this on, I think it's on both. But at the end of the day, if Josh Allen does not pick it up for himself and do the things that he's supposed to do, he's going to get the guy he handpicked fired. Now, I said that a week ago. I said that a week ago to the day. I recorded Code of Conduct last Tuesday, said that a week ago. Now he's gone. The reason why I said that to Jonathan, and also bringing up Coach McDermott, because now I feel like they made the move when it comes to offensive coordinator, but the team, I feel like culture's changing. Did you notice how for the first time in over 4 or 5 years, we didn't have players that wanted to talk to the media last night? They were turning down the media. Did you notice how over the last few weeks, Sean McDermott doesn't even want to do interviews in front of the media? He does them from his office. Did you notice that change? Do you notice how over years past, we've heard everybody talk about how come to Buffalo and be the best version of yourselves and be the best offensive court, be the best player, be the best this. You're not getting those endorsements from the team, from the staff, or anybody when it comes to McDermott. What is going on here, man? What is your assessment of all of this?
Well, to answer the short question, I think Ken Dorsey is still the offensive coordinator if we have 11 guys on the field. And I think that means that he is a scapegoat. in this situation. And that doesn't mean that he's blameless in any of this, but yeah, I don't know. My first thought when we were on the show when this happened too, like I wasn't talking about Dorsey, I was talking about McDermott, because this is 3 guys as a pattern. You know, it's not just, oh, we fired Ken Dorsey midseason. It goes back to, you know, Frazier and the murky, you know, details about that, and then back to the special teams coordinator as well. So I don't know. McDermott has usually been somebody who seems to be self-accountable and self-reflective and has shown signs of a growth mentality. But for whatever reason, he seems to really be digging in his heels this year. And I didn't like I couldn't have done a press conference last night if I was McDermott and I was so upset, but you got to do the whole coach speak. And at least that it starts with me, right? Not like, I'm not happy with this, I'm not happy with that, which is, it's not typical of him. And I don't know, man. The buck stops with you, and it's got to be on you. And the rest of the season is on your shoulders. Like, there's no one left. You fired everybody. This defense is on you. I don't know. I don't know if I like that vibe coming from them. But again, this is like, is culture just winning? Because the culture was great when they were winning a bunch of games, and you know, they had hope for the future. And even the last time they lost this many games was, you know, whatever, Josh Allen's second season, where they weren't going to make the playoffs anyway. So is it just winning 13-3 last year? Or, you know, that'll fix any culture if you're not losing games.
Well, I guess, but you know what, I guess that's why the question now becomes, is it okay, so is McDermott the next one? Because when you talk about those games, so Sarah, we've regressed. We made it to the AFC Championship and lost, and we lost in a divisional round, then we lost. You know, it's like we're going backwards, and now it's a, I don't want to say it's likely. I know I'm going to bring Bro Poe in here in a few, Jeremiah Poyer, and he has all the confidence in the world. He's optimistic still about the team. So I'm going to get his perspective on that. But before we do, it just seems like if you look at it year over year, we're regressing as a team. We're not the same dominant. Yeah. Nobody's scared to come into Orchard Park anymore. Nobody's scared to face the Bills. So just piggybacking off of what Jonathan said there, and then knowing that context, what's your response to that? Like, how do you?
I agree with Jonathan though, that if at this point, if there was 11 men on the field, we don't get that flag, they miss the they miss the field goal, and we win because of Josh Allen's game-winning drive in the fourth quarter, it's a very different context. And the defense, stopped them even with the pass interference call, and we would spin it all in a different way. The fact of the matter is, we got the penalty and they got another shot. Now, someone put in the comments, I just want to, say 13 seconds, 12 men on the field is on McDermott. He's got to go. McDermott did say in the presser yesterday that they literally practiced this instance, 2 or 3 times this week. So it's who else, who do you put it on at this point in time? It's a lot of, moving parts with a few seconds left on the clock, but we have regressed. It's something about every year, the mid season, the 6 games in the middle of the season. And I think it was Tom Pelissero just actually tweeted out that in 2021 and this year, we, went 2-4, I think it was, both years in the middle of the season, and 13 turnovers during that time, both years. And it's like our stats are kind of the same in both of the years. I don't know what it is in the middle of the season, whether it's because, you want to say it's because maybe we have the harder schedule. This year, we had a very easy schedule at this point in the year. It only gets harder here on out. So, Joe Brady's got his, got a lot to cut out over the next couple of weeks to figure it out. But at least we're doing it mid-season, so we can figure it out at this point.
I hope. Well, I'm going to bring in Bro Poe, my man, Jeremiah Poyer, and so this will be a 2-part question for you. So A, I want your reaction to the news of Ken Dorsey being relieved of his duties, but then after that, because we're talking offense, right? This is the offensive coordinator situation. You and I jokingly, but also we go back and forth for real about this Gabe Davis situation too. So we're talking about the offense. We're talking about how it's played out. I think one of the biggest reasons to me personally why Ken Dorsey, there's several, but one of the reasons that Ken Dorsey was relieved is because I don't feel like we've gotten consistent production out of our receiver room after Diggs. So I'm going to ask the two-part question. One, your reaction to the news, and then two, how do you see this helping? Because one of the things that you've mentioned is, well, draw some plays up for Davis, like get him the ball. How do you see this change to Joe Brady benefiting the offense going forward, or just what change do you see coming in general?
First, I don't really. Yesterday wasn't on Ken, so this is an entirety of how he's coached throughout the season. I feel like this is, and somebody's head had a role. And so I think that's what made this. I don't think yesterday was on Ken at all. Yesterday was on the offensive players' ability to execute. And I don't want to sound like McDermott, but that was what that was last night. But how it can help, I don't know. I don't know how Joe Brady's relationship is with Josh. I'm hoping that McDermott brought in Josh and asked him how he felt about it and whatnot. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. That could have been pressure. It feels like McDermott's been getting a lot of pressure from higher ups this year. He's being more aggressive on defense because specifically they didn't think Leslie was as aggressive as last year. So like it just seems like he's trying to be a guy that does something to save his job at some point throughout the season. And maybe this Ken Dorsey fire was part of that. Because I don't see how it, with a quarterback's coach coming in, how it can get much better. Maybe I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough ask from the quarterback's coach to come in and take over for the OC midseason.
At least he has experience.
Well, yeah, and that's where I was going to go next. Jeffrey in the comments wanted to know, how does a quarterback's coach get the offensive coordinator job? Isn't it two different things? First, before you answer, I do want to say Ken Dorsey was the quarterback's coach here in Buffalo. Joe Brady was the quarterback's coach now, and he's the interim offensive coordinator. I think it's a natural progression as far as jobs in the NFL to go from quarterback's coach to that. But Brando, why don't you jump on this question here and get Jeffrey an answer?
Well, it's the same thing, right? As anybody else, you kind of follow your ways up. You see it sometimes. You get the offensive line coach will move up to an offensive assistant, or the wide receivers coach move up to an offensive assistant, and the quarterback's the coach on the field. So whoever's coaching the quarterback's got to be the person most in tune with that offense besides the offensive coordinator, right? That whole room together is one team. And this is the part that's interesting. And Jeremiah, I agree with you here because we're cutting from the same cloth of Dorsey now. And if we want real change on the offensive side of the football, we just talked about this on our show, is the puppeteering from McDermott only going to be worse now because he knows that Ken Dorsey's gone. Maybe Ken Dorsey fired back a little bit at McDermott and said, hey, we don't need to run the ball. Maybe, it's this is the way I want to do it. And McDermott's like, no, I don't want to do it, but we don't need to speculate. But now he has Joe Brady, offensive coordinator, for the first time since his time in Carolina, right? In 2020, maybe
2021.
2021.
He was let go in 2021
after
with
that
Matt Rule.
That full season, right? He did one full season there.
He did 2020 full season. 2021 was half a season with Matt Rule.
Okay. And now you got a guy who is his man again. It's not somebody that is his equal. It is somebody that is young and up and coming. Is McDermott going to say this is how we're doing it, and you don't get to tell me that it's going to be done differently? Whereas Dable kind of, I don't know. This is what we've seen with our eyes, right? And
I mean, and again, it's speculation, like you were saying, because we don't know that McDermott's really put his stamp on the offense, or to begin with. We don't know how much he was getting involved 100%. So it's what we feel like has been going on, that he's been getting too involved. So you wonder, or not involved enough, one or the other, like that. It goes back and forth. So.
I will say this about it. Like, Joe Brady can come in and do whatever he wants now because he's not getting fired. I mean, like, he can come in and run the offense however he wants because what do you have left? Is McDermott going to call the plays at some point? No.
Right.
So, I mean, he could come in and really call the plays however he wants. And Brady kind of probably has Josh's, more input from Josh than Ken had. So, we'll see.
And Jerry, I was just going to say, Jerry and I were kind of talking about it yesterday. I agree with him. Even during the game and after the game, a lot of this was on the offense yesterday. So the offense still needs to execute whatever Brady's calling moving forward. We have no more scapegoats. It's got to be on Josh and the offensive guys. I hope we use Khalil Shakir a little bit more. He's been truly great over the last 4 weeks. So I hope, we start to use him more. Even if that means using less of Gabe.
Well, could we use any less of Gabe?
I would be disagree to that, but it's all good.
Well, you have this thing with Gabe, and he's
in love with Gabe, and I have no idea. Like he's in love with Gabe.
He's not played. He doesn't separate at all. And one of the interceptions yesterday was because he didn't separate. And then, the
No,
DB
it's because he didn't. You're right. But it's also because he just didn't catch the damn
No,
ball
I'm not talking about that one.
Up.
I'm talking about the other one.
Oh, so 2 on Gabe. Yeah. 2 on Gabe. Real quick, let me get
the
Benjamin's
second
question.
interception was Deontay, wasn't it? It was Deontay. He threw double covered Deontay.
Okay, I was there live, so
Hardy.
Yeah. I thought it was too, but
everyone was screaming at Gabe. So I was
blaming everything on Gabe. Everybody had a drop pass. They want to blame all that on Gabe.
Listen, Gabe, but see, the problem is Gabe does it consistently. Last year, Gabe led the team in drop passes. This year, Gabe again is dropping passes in big moments. So I get what you're saying. I get your love, but consistently, we've seen now season after season, drop after drop from Davis. I get your love. I just need to see something different. I'm hoping Joe Brady
this year.
Okay, well, one of them just resulted in an interception yesterday.
And Cook had 3 fumbles in one game. So I'm just saying that
okay, first of all, see, this is what I don't like. Cook had 2 fumbles. One he got back and turned into a 40-yard gain. The first one was bad. That handoff was on Josh. And if you want to give it to Cook, that's fine. That was a bad handoff on Josh. Before I want to get to this comment, we can get back to it because, matter of fact, I feel like that's for Chop Up tonight. We're going to get on that for Chop Up. Benjamin in the comments says, let's talk about Von. I'm going to take a different route on this question. So sorry, Benjamin, it's not going to be the exact answer you want. But let's talk about Von's terrible contract. Imagine what we could have done with $250 million. It's not all Dorsey's fault. No one can catch a ball or cover. We could have had real players instead of a washed-up Von Miller. Now, I think this is a rough take. That's why I'm going to take a different angle at this because I think it's tough to expect Von Miller to be Von Miller coming off an ACL tear. I think he came back too soon. But my question to you is this. We're talking about Ken Dorsey being fired, and then we're talking about Sean McDermott having some of the blame. Jonathan and Sarah, everybody, we'll go in whatever order you want to go in here. What part of this falls on now I can't
Brandon
even think
Beane?
right. On Brandon Beane. Like what part of this falls on our general manager?
It can't be that much, right? It could be a little bit.
I mean, there's enough blame to go around, but I think that's the only person that we're not talking about today, right? Like, we're trying to decide. We're trying to do the Bruce Nolan plurality pie here for who's to blame. I think Brandon Beane, you might put like 1% on it. It's we've seen GMing in Buffalo before. It has never been this good. So I think that the talent is on the roster. Like this could be a Super Bowl winning roster. I don't think that anyone would debate that the talent is there. They just haven't been executing. They've got the yips or something. They need Dr. Sharon from Ted Lasso to come in and fix it. Like I don't know what else you're gonna do.
Do you blame Brandon Beane for going out and trying to? He had a window and he was going for it. And Von paid off. It was worth it until Thanksgiving of last year, and you can't judge Von until Thanksgiving. After this Thanksgiving, he's got to get the 1 full calendar year, and even then, you should give him some grace.
I feel like you can't judge the Von Miller contract until his career is finished in Buffalo. Like the end of that book hasn't been written, and he's still coming back from injury, so you can't judge it by right now. And we all gave really worth it. We all thought it was worth it when he was, forcing the interception in that Kansas City game last year where Taron Johnson had the pick. He's making critical plays in critical moments, but yeah, it's just, recency bias.
And
feel
I
it's
agree.
that
I
was the
still
last one.
think it's worth
it was
I still
only
think it's worth it.
it was only 100, and I say only loosely, but it's 120 million was his contract, 6 years, 120 million, not 250 million. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there because when you read it, I was like, it wasn't 250 million. Now
I feel like
Von's
they were just being a little, I think
yeah,
they were being extra there.
Von's
I
here for at least another year, or we're, I think the dead cap is like 50 million, or this going into next year. It's so he's still here next year. Even in 2025, we're gonna carry a dead cap if he's gone of like 20 something million. So yes, financially speaking, it was one of those signings that let's just push the money down the road and we'll keep on pushing it with the void years and everything else. But again, you're getting one of the guys that everyone wanted, that big name, the big name player. We were all freaking out. Oh my God, we have a Von Miller on our team. Like we wanted that big name person on defense. We went out and got it. It made it to the point where, these guys want to play in Buffalo now. Like, not anymore, but last year it became, the cool thing. Von Miller wants to play in Buffalo. Why wouldn't anybody else? So I think that's where you got to think about, the money. We probably signed other people for less because we had Von Miller.
Can we
Well, one
also
thing-
not forget? Sorry, Spence.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
I believe the other pass rusher that we wanted that offseason would have been Chandler Jones as a free
Right.
agent, also up there in age.
Look at,
and how'd
look at
that
what's
turn
happening
out?
with Chandler.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
same cost basically. So
if you look at the
So-
roster totality right
Well,
now, that being
real
put
quick.
together.
Hold on. I'm sorry, real quick, because I wanted you to get your point, but my man Big Newt just jumped in too, so I want to give everybody an opportunity real quick to have some comments. So one thing so I'm going to ask Big Newt this. So Big Newt, we just talked about how the blame really hasn't shifted and probably shouldn't shift to General Manager Brandon Beane. However, I do have a question because today we fired the offensive coordinator, and we just talked about how, me and Albro Poe, we're going to go at it head to head tonight on Chop Up about Gabe Davis and about all these other things. But so we're talking about bringing in Von Miller, but I mean, isn't there something to say about how we haven't replaced that wide receiver 2 production after we don't have Emmanuel Sanders or after Cole Beasley? There's something missing on offense, and Brandon Beane hasn't gone to replace that. Do you think there's any blame there when it comes to the offensive side of the ball?
It's been plenty, and thank you for having me on, man. I'm at lunch right now. I'm eating a Crustable, so I wanted to sneak out and get on here, y'all, man. So I got a few minutes, but man, I just wanted to say, I know y'all probably touched on it. Y'all been on here for 30 minutes, but the blame go around to everybody, and somebody had to be the sacrificial lamb today. And I mean, if you just hold serve and didn't have any changes, I think that would have been horrible for the fan base, and Bills Mafia don't deserve it. Now, I've been very critical on Dorsey the last couple, especially this year, because I feel like Josh Allen's regressing. I feel like once we were looking for a new offensive coordinator, we should have went out and got the best one we could. I feel like we tried to go for continuity, and obviously it's not working. Offensively, statistically, we're okay, right? But we're literally 2 plays away from being 3-7. I was just tweeting at somebody an hour ago. A few more plays, 2 things break. We're 8-2, yeah. But the Bucs game and the Giants game, we're literally 2 plays away from being 3-7. So when that happens in this business, is what have you done for me lately? And that's why we got what happened today. Now, going back to your question about Brandon Beane, this is all a big jigsaw puzzle. Things got to fit in place. Beane has his limitations as a GM, right? Sean McDermott has his limitations as a head coach. We all agree on that, right? That's why we're in this situation we are now. We need somebody who's going to come in and is going to get Josh Allen to play at the most optimal level, because the way this team is set up, we got to have Josh Allen playing like a superhero to win. That's what the numbers bear out. That's not an argument. He has to be Superman for us to win. When he's not Superman, he plays average and play below average, we lose. And last night was a travesty because the defense, with 6 or 7 starters out, still played well enough for us to win. Mm-hmm. It's the mad curse, I tell you. We talked about the whole bad thing going to something. It's the mad curse.
All right. Well, bro, Poe, you had something you wanted to say here. I got a question for you directly. Are you worried? Karen Phelps, shout out to Karen in the comments. Thank you for your question. She wants to know, are you worried about Diggs wanting to leave Buffalo? So this morning, before the Dorsey news, we see Diggs' brother tweeting, or last night he tweeted and this morning, 14 needs to get out of Buffalo. Then he tweeted, let's not act like Buddy didn't go crazy, before bro got there. So alluding to the fact that Josh didn't perform at a high level until he got Diggs as a wide receiver. How do you feel about all of these talks now about Diggs needing to get out of here, and if he wants to get out of here, and his brother tweeting like crazy with Twitter fingers?
I mean, if he wants to get out of here, he's going to be able to get out of here. So it's a players' league nowadays. But Trayvon just trying to get him to Dallas. I mean, that's what it's been. So he's been doing since the AFC game last year against the Bengals. Like, he said the same thing at that point. I believe the exact same tweet. I really don't care what he has to say. Like he's not over here. Like, that's a Jerry Jones move. But every time we talk about Diggs not being happy here, he come out and high fives at practice, and they do their little dances at practice. Like, I mean, he's an NFL player. There's ups and downs in this league, and you got to roll with the punches. And if he at some point don't want to play in Buffalo, he's not going to want to play in Buffalo. It is what it is. He's also getting older. I think that he wants to win at some point before he gets like 32, 33, when he gets reduced down to a number 2 receiver. But I mean, he'll be all right here.
So I just want to say I sit right behind the bench for the home games, row 1, and Diggs was in front of me all night long, talking to the guys, going up to Cook and talking to him after after the fumble, after the touchdown, not touchdown, after that 40-yard run, he just motivating all night long. He went up to Gabe a couple of times. I don't know. I love Diggs, and I hope to God he does not leave. Someone just put and this is why I wanted to say it. Someone just send Diggs to the Cowboys for a second. Are you ridiculous? Like, I'm sorry, not to be like completely rude. Number 1, you're not getting rid of him for a second. Number 2, the amount of dead cap that we would have for a second round pick, like, that's crazy. Diggs, to me, Tavon is right. Diggs was the reason that Josh finally came into his own. Josh needed that wide receiver, that confidence, that someone to be confident in order to, succeed. And Diggs was that for Josh. And I hope Josh never, thinks twice about that, because that, it is what it is. And no, do not let Diggs go. He has a couple of good years left. And I hope he retires a bill. I hope we could figure this out.
I understand your point, and I can agree with you on certain level, but I hate that type of rhetoric where we say, well, Josh, and because I think we forget that before Diggs got here, Beasley really helped Josh's growth, and John Brown really helped Josh's growth. And the wide receiver unit got better when you got Diggs, and Josh's numbers got better, but he also played very well with those 2 receivers as his 1 and 2. So, and then Walter in the comments, Diggs was a really good receiver in Minnesota, but let's not act like he was the top 3 that we see him as right now. Like, Diggs is eating with Josh Allen at quarterback. There's a reason he wanted out of Minnesota. So let's just keep this thing equal. I love Diggs. Everybody knows I love Diggs. I'm not hating on Diggs. I'm not hating on Josh, but come on, let's not be a little ridiculous with this. I got one for Jonathan here. It says, how do we reconcile that the offensive expected points per play under Dorsey is top 4 in the NFL, while the defensive expected points per play is 20th in the NFL this season?
Well, that's the question we're all trying to answer, I guess, right? I think it really, the simple answer is execution, and the complicated answer is that it's complicated, because you have to break down every single drive, and it's like, okay, well, this went wrong. Okay, and it seems like that's, it's a moving target every week. It's, okay, we're making, stupid plays in the red zone. Gabe Davis drops a pass and goes for an interception, and, Kincaid drops a similar pass and it doesn't go for an interception, and we're not talking about it because there wasn't a safety right behind him. And, Josh Allen drops a ball out of nowhere, handing it off to Cook. Like, what is that? That's something you can coach? That's something you can't work on? That's just a mistake. And I don't know. It's execution. I think it might be the play calling too. Remember, we had this talk about big plays was a big part of it in the explosive offense. They can be really high in EPA per play because they have bad field position, so they're getting to midfield, and then it's just too many plays. A mistake, inevitably happens because all the guys can't be perfect for 12 play drives and stuff like that. So I don't know. It comes down to execution, I guess, but that's just kind of a boilerplate answer. And I don't know why the defense is 20th in expected points when, I think we're kind of proud of what they've done lately when it comes to who they have left. And I think it's the expectations for the offense as well. And offense is down among, across the league, not as much as it is down here, but they're not putting up the points. They're not putting up explosive plays. And I think everybody's just in their head, and it's hard to get out of that place. And maybe this is the spark that does it. But, when you're down and you're not rolling, momentum is everything throughout a game and game to game, in the NFL. So when it's not going right, it definitely just, the train stops.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to get on out of here soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around. We'll give everybody a shot to have their elevator pitch for what the rest of this season needs to look like for the Buffalo Bills, with Joe Brady being the offensive coordinator, and or even just whatever take that you want to end this show out on. So we're going to go around. We'll start with New, Brando, Jonathan, Albro, Pode, and Sarah. And then we'll get on out of here. And also plug your shows and any content that you guys might want to have highlighted.
Well, first I want to say the JBD Big News Show comes at you at noon every Wednesday. In the off season, we're bi-weekly. You can find me at big_new. I wanted to go back to what you were just saying about Diggs' brother. All right. I think we all, well, I know I love Diggs and I would hate to see him go. And I retweeted, I know people were saying in Bills Mafia, oh, look at him, he happy, and no, it ain't a thing. This is a thing. All right, because if you don't, my thing is this: if Stefan didn't want his brother talking, he would be talking. It's something to that, right? I don't listen to what people say. I watch what people do. And so I don't know if this is going to come to a head. Once again, I'm happy that we traded the offensive coordinator because that could have been it. But I was always a person saying this summer, it's something to this, right? And so, like you just said, when we got here from Minnesota, you're right. His game got taken up a notch playing for Buffalo, right? Than what he was in Minnesota. I agree with that. But he came here wanting to win a Super Bowl. He came here wanting to put up big numbers. He's putting up big numbers. He wants to win also. What his brother is saying is something to that. I wouldn't just dismiss it. Because I know if it was me, I'd be daggum sure that my brother, auntie, my mama, they're not going to be talking unless it's something I wanted to be said.
That's a good point.
And that's how I see it. I see it as, in a way, I feel like these are Stefan Diggs' frustrations being tweeted out by his brother, but Diggs can't tweet it because everything about his reputation over the last few years is that he's a diva and he tweets his feelings out. He tweets weird stuff and he always knows what he's doing. And so now, okay, don't tweet. I'll let my brother go ahead and tweet this out for me. Go ahead. So no, I agree with you, but I do think there's something to it.
Let me say something real quick, not take other people's time. Let me say one last sentence. Think about, because my wonderful friend, the capologist, I don't want to contradict what she said, but you could put on a happy face in front of everybody and be mad behind the scenes. Just think about a relationship. Just think about a relationship. It's plenty of times I'm pissed off at my wife. It's plenty of times I might have just want my kids out in the back, but you ain't going to see it. So I'm going to put on a happy face, Big Nude, always happy, but me and my wife can have problems the night before. I didn't like the sauteed onions she had in the beef stew, whatever. But you're not going to know that. That's what I think Stefan Diggs is. He'll put on a happy face. He'll do all the right things during the game because he know he has to. But the stuff that happened during the summer and his brother with the Twitter fingers, you can't dismiss that. So
I love Big Newt, man. Go ahead, Brando.
It's a great point. He's just such a professional. He's not gonna air his dirty laundry out in front of everybody. And you know what? we were just talking about this in the show earlier. I love the Batman movies with Christian Bale, and you either die a hero or you live long enough to be the villain. And right now, the whole thing's changing. The culture is real easy to get right when you're winning these games, but you see who everybody is when they're getting punched in the face. And right now, we got a couple black eyes and a broken nose. And whether it's these fans that are new, I had people yesterday at the game. They're telling me, I've had season tickets for 7 years. I'm not coming back. And then I got a lady that I push in a wheelchair who's never missed a home game in the 60 years of existence of the stadium. She's like, yeah, I'll be back next week. I'm going to root these guys on. And I'm like, that's what we have to do. You galvanize here. You got to rally, figure it out, and you support these guys now. You don't give up on them. You help change the mind group think here. And, whether it's Diggs' brother, I want to know, what is their conversation like after the game? Like Diggs call up his brother and he's like, hey, man, you can leave that tweet up. That's right. Right. Like they're privately, but whatever we find out, he just be professional here and don't give us anything else to talk about. But we'll see how it plays out. We got to let these guys figure their way out. We could either be the storybook of the NFL because we go out on a run here and we go, what is it, 11-7 or 11-6 or whatever it is. We go 10-7 and we sneak in and we go on a run, or we lose and there's going to be a change if we lose, right? And like you said, we have to ride the wave. So let's ride it, see what happens. And while we're all on this wave together, you can check out our show, Not Another Buffalo Podcast. Wednesday and Friday mornings, we'll be out. We'll be out. So me and Johnny and Pat. So
that was perfect.
It's good talking with you guys today.
I like it. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to be that smooth. But what Brandon said, we're on the same podcast Wednesdays and Fridays. But yeah, I think that the success of the season, I'm less worried about the opponents and more about the team and their functioning and stuff like that. I'm not worried about, they're playing the Chiefs and the Eagles and stuff like that. I mean, they didn't beat the Broncos, and it wasn't because it was not because the Broncos were a good team. It's because they're not playing well. So it's like, if they play well, they can hang with anybody. They can beat all these teams if the offense is clicking on the cylinders that it did in 2021. So I don't know. They can go on a run. I'm hopeful of that. Eternal optimism from the drought, I guess. But I'm ready for a 10-7 wild card playoff run.
Our editor-in-chief, Matt, in the comments says that you guys need to hit the vidcast circuit. So what that's saying is you guys need to join the vidcast side of things. I've been trying. I'm still respecting y'all space and y'all saying y'all don't really want to do it, but I'm just saying your camera looks too good and the mics sound too great. It just might need to happen, but we'll talk about it another time. I'm just saying. You should
nice
hear the things that Pat says that we cut out of the episode. So.
You guys hear the good stuff. Yeah, you don't hear us fumbling around over here all the time. But that's all right.
Well, that's the good part. That's the fun part. But yeah, we'll talk about it. So, bro, Poe, what's up with you, man?
This is probably big last 7 games for McDermott. This hire better do something, because if not, it's probably going to be the Eric Bieniemy show next year. So if it was up to me, if it was up to
Jeremiah, please don't get my hopes up. Like, do not even talk like that. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, do not even get my hopes on any type of Jeremy.
I'm just saying, like, he better let go of if he did have reins. We all speculate what is going on in that phrase. If you did have reins, it's not working. You better let that shit go. And if you didn't have reins, Joe Brady better be the answer for you, or something's happening in the offseason. You can't miss the playoffs with this team.
You gonna plug your chop up or anything, or you just?
Oh yeah, come see me. come see me whoop up on Spence later tonight at 8.
He think he gonna whoop up on me. We'll see. It's gonna be fun to reunite with the squad. Sarah, what you got going on?
Yeah, so just going back a little bit when we were talking about the offense and the defense, I just wanted to say, like, the offense has been putting the defense in bad, positions, and I think that that's the one reason why we've been giving the defense a pass for the stats, because we know that the starting, where we've started on defense has not been, great often and everything else. But that was just something I wanted to say before we went off. But 7 games left. I think, at this point, we have maybe a game. I'm not even going to say possibly 2 that we could lose, because right now the AFC North looks like they could put 2 or 3 teams in, for wild card, so, teams 6 and 7 might be coming, from the North. So, at this point in time, we don't have a lot of wiggle room, but I'm not saying the season's over with because, technically speaking, the Chiefs could, not the Chiefs, sorry, the Dolphins could start losing. We control our destiny with them a little bit. Now obviously we're another game behind, but we were only a half game behind out of first place, heading into last night's game. So, there's still that opportunity. So I'm just going to say we have about a game or maybe possibly two. So it's going to be an uphill battle for the rest of the season, but it's not impossible. I don't care who we play. We always have an opportunity to win when we're operating on all cylinders. So join me and in the Big O, Jerry Ostrowski, on Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. We always like to argue, so it's it's always a good time. So join us.
Yeah, their arguments are fun. Levi in the comments says sad that they missed the show. It's okay. We got great content coming this week. Sarah just mentioned her show with Big O tomorrow night. Tonight, my man All Bro Poe and me and Sterling, and I think Antoine's going to join us. We're going to be going off on there. And then Brando and Jonathan just told you about their show, and Big Newt goes every week. So there's a lot of content. Thank you for supporting us. My take to exit out of here is a tweet that I just put up not too long ago before we jumped live on here. I said, if we miss the playoffs, I want this same headline with Sean McDermott's name the moment that we are eliminated from playoff contention. For me, as much as everybody wants to talk about all the blame and everywhere, and Ken Dorsey's gone, and I've been yelling about Gabe Davis, and everybody wants to talk about the defense and how Von Miller isn't doing anything after his injury and whatever. Okay, we can blame everybody. At the end of the day, the CEO, the man at the top, he's the one that this has to fall on. He doesn't have Leslie Frazier to fall on the sword after 13 seconds. He doesn't have Ken Dorsey to fall on the sword after this. He doesn't have Brian Daboll. Like, anybody you want to name who was going to be the blame, you no longer have that guy. Now it's all on Sean McDermott. You're standing there alone. I need to see it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the Buffalo Rumblings breaking news about the Ken Dorsey firing. Everybody, y'all have a great day. Y'all know how we do it over at Buffalo Rumblings. Y'all love each other, take care of each other, and live in peace. And as always, stay positive, test negative. Everybody, let's get it. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Let's go.
Code of conduct.